We demand for a constitutional conference backed by a law enacted by the National Assembly where the people of Nigeria will agree on a new, truly federal constitution. A constituent assembly should be constituted to agree on a new constitution for a new Nigeria. Such a constitution, the People's Constitution, should be approved by the people of Nigeria through a referendum to give it legitimacy and validity. Thereafter, the National Assembly should repeal Decree 24 of 1999, of which the 1999 Constitution is only a shadow, thereby effectively voiding the 1999 Constitution. Section 2, what form of government should we have when we go to negotiate? Ndibo proposed that the presidential system of government shall continue to operate at the federal level with bicameral legislature. The regions or states shall determine the type of government to operate at that level as enshrined in their respective constitutions, whether they want parliamentary or the executive, legislative ones. It will be desirable, however, for the same form of government to be adopted at the regional levels for comparability and ease in transaction of government businesses in the Federation. The second point we make here is that the tenure of office of the president shall be a single term of 6 years. There shall be 5 vice presidents, one from each of the other geopolitical zones or regions, excluding the region or zone of the president, and each also to serve for a fixed term of 6 years. Each of the vice presidents shall be assigned supervisory responsibility over 2 or more ministries such as defense, internal affairs, foreign affairs, finance, infrastructure, or works, etc. This is to give every zone or region a sense of belonging and a strong voice in major decision making. The office of the president shall rotate among the 6 regions of Nigeria. The governor and deputy governor of the region or state should have a single term of 6 years only. The office of governor shall rotate among the senatorial districts or among such other configurations as may be enshrined in the constitution of the region or state. Section 3, the federating units and structure of the Nigerian state. Ladies and gentlemen, Ndibo proposed that Nigeria shall remain a federation with its existing 6 geopolitical zones forming the federating units or 6 regions of the country. There shall therefore be 6 regional governments, each comprising the current states within each zone and any other states that may be created within the zone from time to time. Second point, each region shall have its own constitution for the good governance, peace, and development of region. Such regional constitutions shall clearly delineate levels of authority between the regional government and the component states, defining which powers are exclusive to the region and powers that are residual to the states. The regional constitution shall not be inconsistent with the constitution of the federation and shall be invalidated to the extent of its inconsistency. The next point is that Ndibo recognize that there may be some other regions or some other parts of Nigeria may have other preferences. But in the end, if the national consensus is that states remain the federating units, the existing geopolitical zone shall be enshrined in the Constitution as the basis for sharing national political, economic, and social amenities, offices, and opportunities in an equitable manner among the zones. We also recommend, and it's our position, that in such a situation as above, that is where the states remain the federating units, Ndibo demand that Nigeria shall give effect to the recommendation of the 2014 National Conference, which states that, quote, in the spirit of reconciliation, equity, fair play, and justice, there shall be created an additional state for the Southeast Zone, and all other states for states creation shall then be considered after at least one additional state is created in the Southeast Zone. We demand this additional state as the irreducible minimum. But if states remain the basis for sharing resources and opportunities in Nigeria, Ndibo demand for equal number of states per geopolitical zone. We also demand that local government should be scrapped from the constitution of the Federation. Local government should be in the exclusive list of the regional or state constitutions. If states remain the federating units, and some states wish to merge in order to be viable in the absence of distributable resources from the center, they may do so provided that a two-thirds majority of members of the Houses of Assembly of the affected states support the merger by a resolution, and then a referendum is conducted in the respective states that want to merge, and 60% of them must then approve it, those who vote. Also, if any group, for example, you have the regional government here in the south, in the southeast, and our brothers in Anioma, Ikwere, also want to become part of the southeast region. You don't make it by force. It has to be, they will have to agree. You don't force anybody. And they will do so provided you have a referendum in those respective places who decide if you are a contiguous zone to any and belong to any contiguous zone, you can decide to go there with a referendum of 60% of registered voters there approving that you go to the other zone or region. Equality of regions or geopolitical zones. Section 4. Whether regions or states become the federating units and whether or not equal numbers of states are created in each zone, Ndi Igbo demand that the equality of the 6 geopolitical zones should be enshrined in the Constitution. Politically, representation at the federal cabinet, as well as the twin chambers of the federal legislature, shall be based on equality of zones or regions. Furthermore, sharing of revenues, distribution of infrastructure by the federal government, and federal character principle shall be applied on the basis of equality of zones. Section 5, citizenship, indigenship rights. Nigerian citizenship is acquired through the criteria for citizenship as provided in the Nigerian Constitution. The concept of the state of origin should be scrapped from the Constitution of the Federation and replaced with the state of residence. As an alternative to the above, if you don't scrap it, the state of origin, we then demand the following residency and civic rights responsibilities to include 2 conditions. Number 1, any child born of Nigerian parents anywhere in Nigeria shall acquire the indigenship residency rights of the area at birth. Number 2, similarly, any Nigerian citizen who has resided in any part of Nigeria and paid taxes there for a period of 10 years shall acquire the indigenship or residency rights of the area except for the right to their traditional stool. Internal security, section 6. There shall be established a 2- or 3-tier police structure with defined responsibilities as follows. A police force for the Federation and controlled by the federal government and the regional or state constitutions to establish separate police forces for each region and maybe state. The police force at every level shall be headed by a non-partisan professional. The appointment and removal of such a head of the police shall be vested in an independent body. 7. Sharing of financial resources of fiscal federalism. We argue that section 162 of the 1999 Constitution is a negation of the principle of federalism. It should be abrogated. In its place, a truly federal system that gives control of the resources to the component units and replaces the current system of unconditional transfers with conditional transfers from the center as follows. 1, we Ndi Igbo of the opinion that states should have control over all their natural resources within their territory. Fiscal federalism presupposes the revocation of the Land Use Act of 1978, the Solid Minerals Act, as well as the various Petroleum Gas Acts and amendments since 1969. The right of ownership, control, and exploitation of these and other assets should be returned to the states and or the federating units. The taxation powers of the various tiers of government should be reviewed to give the federating units greater flexibility and scope to generate revenue internally. And states within the federating units should collect and keep 50% of the rents, royalties, and profits taxes on mineral derived from their states. Pay 20% to the regional government and 30% to the federal government, provided that each tier of government shall save at least 5% of the receipts from natural mineral resources as future generation fund.